Okay, and thank you to the person who's already submitted the resume in chat. We do appreciate that. And for anyone.
Welcome everybody. It's Effective Resume Thursdays. We're very glad you're with us. It's October 22nd. Thank you very much for being with us today. Please note this event is being recorded and is currently live on Facebook. The recording will be on the Career DFW Facebook page and on the Career USA YouTube channel for others to view in the future. By participating in this event, and if you post a comment in the chat box, you have your microphone or camera on, you give permission for your comments, name, and picture to appear. For those people on Zoom, we ask that you use the speaker view, which is in the lower left-hand corner. And as you probably know, where that red arrow is, you can grab that if you're on a PC or Mac and make the speaker bigger or smaller, change the ratio of the PowerPoint versus the speaker. If you have questions, we ask that you, if you're on Zoom, please use the chat box to enter your questions. That way we'll, as Carol takes a pause in her presentation, she'll be able to, we'll get your questions and you won't forget them. And if you're on Facebook, please just enter your questions into the comment field. I am monitoring that feed and I'll be sure we get those questions answered. We are going to look at 1 or 2 resumes today. I know we already have one. You can submit your resume if you'd like to. If you'd like to delete your header information before doing so, please do so, because remember, your information will be on Facebook and YouTube for others to see. So if somebody else wants to submit their resume, you're welcome to do that. Well, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jeff Morse. I founded Career DFW back in 2008 to help the unemployed in the DFW area. In 2012, I started CareerUSA.org to help people outside the DFW area. I also wrote a book called What I've Learned About Your Job Search That You May Not Know. Since 2007, I've been facilitating and leading the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group, and I'll tell you about our programming tomorrow at the end of this session. And since 2017, I've been a member of the practice interview team along with our speaker. Our speaker today is Carol Brickell. She's a certified professional career coach. So Carol, thank you for being with us, and I'll let you take it.
All right, thank you, Jeff, for the introduction, and thank you to everyone who has joined in today. I'll go ahead and share my PowerPoint presentation and get into presentation mode here. Good, and so we should be in presentation mode right now. Good. And we will be using the interactive functions in Zoom today to make it fun for you. So if everyone could click on your participant box, if you hover over the Zoom menu at the bottom of your screen and click on participant box, and I'm going to do the same thing. And I put it over on my second monitor. So if you see me looking over here, I'm just looking at my monitor. And if everyone could go into the participant box and give me a green check mark if you have ever seen one of these Resume Thursday sessions before. And if you haven't, give me a red X. So if everyone could go into the participant box and give me a green check mark if you've seen one of these Resume Thursday sessions before, and a red X if you've not, if you haven't. So welcome to the people who've never seen one of these before. We do vary up the content every week, and every week it's different because somebody new every time shares their resume, and we review that live. And also I'd like for everyone to click on the chat box, because I will be asking questions occasionally throughout the session, and I'm having you respond in chat. And then also you can submit questions at any time, and I'll address those. And so when I'm looking over here, I'm looking at my second monitor. Good. And for those of you that are attending, one of the favorite parts of this session is when we have a chance at the end to look at a couple of resumes live in real time. And I've received a sample resume from somebody so far. And if anybody else has a resume to submit, you're welcome to send it to me in chat. You can send it as an attachment. There's that little file icon where you can attach a document. You can send it to me, and you can delete out your contact information at the top of the resume if you wish to remain anonymous. That's the part of the session that everyone really likes. And then to get us warmed up using the chat box, the theme today, because I did a presentation yesterday with Locke Alderson on LinkedIn, I have a lot of LinkedIn thoughts on the brain, and I've done some extra research on that topic. So my opening question today is, Have you ensured that your professional experience on your resume is consistent with the information on LinkedIn? If you could go ahead and type in a yes, no, or a few words in chat, I'd appreciate that. And the reason I ask this question is because you'll see in my background, I've worked as a recruiter, and I can remember people looking at a resume and then looking at LinkedIn and double comparing the names of the companies and the dates, trying to catch somebody in a lie. And actually, I didn't intend to, but I did catch somebody in a lie because there was something on their resume that wasn't on LinkedIn. And I asked the guy, I said, did you work at that company? He goes, yeah. I happen to know the HR person there. So I called the HR director and they had no record of him. So I actually did catch somebody in a lie. So you want to make sure that there's no appearance of any impropriety going on. So, and it's okay if it's not the exact terms of each job title, but if you want to have the jobs and the dates, especially the years, to match exactly on LinkedIn. Now on LinkedIn, you might put the months and the years. On your resume, for cleanness of formatting, you may just put the years. And somebody says they're still working on it. Good, good. Yeah, that's something you definitely want to do. Good. And I mentioned a little bit about my background, but I do have 30 years of experience as a hiring manager. I worked at ATS. Give me a green check mark if you've ever worked at ATS, HP, DXC, or Prospecta. If anybody's ever worked at any of those companies. No, no, no. Okay. Sometimes I have a couple people in the audience that have, maybe one person. And I worked there for many years. And then I took retirement in 2012. And I wanted to do that so I could get a job as an agency recruiter, just so I could see how the job market really works out there and see what it feels like as a recruiter to be reviewing hundreds and thousands of resumes and presenting those to hiring managers, because I knew ultimately I wanted to become a career coach. And so I worked in both agency and corporate environments. And last year I retired from Next Step Recruiting, and I still keep very close in touch with my colleagues there. In fact, just yesterday I was doing a workshop with them for their candidates on LinkedIn. Locke Alderson co-presented with me, and we had a good time doing that. So I've placed people in a variety of different roles: IT, accounting, finance, HR roles. And like Jeff, I volunteer every week for the Dallas Pit Crew, the practice interview team. And if you've never practiced for a job interview, I highly recommend spending some time practicing, even with just a sample job description. All you have to do is send an email to dallaspitcrew@gmail.com with your resume and a sample job description, and we'll line you up for a panel interview, and we'll give you valuable feedback. And we've shared the information about the Pit Crew in the chat box that you can download. And then also I went through a certification process, some training, and a big essay test, and got certified as by the Professional Association of Resume Writers and Career Coaches. And I mentioned that I retired last year from Next Step Recruiting, but I keep very close in touch with them. And every week they share me their hottest jobs where they need candidates. Now they're always looking for good people in accounting, finance, IT, especially programming IT, then also HR, and sometimes recruiting candidates for their clients. And these are the hot jobs this week. They're looking for a payroll manager, billing coordinator, a marketing and sales rep, an HR, a recruiter, bilingual, and then an e-commerce analyst who has a lot of they're looking for somebody with a lot of good experience with analytics types of software programs. So if you meet any of these requirements, or if you're an accountant or a finance person or HR person, feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn and I can get you connected with a great recruiter over there. And if you've never worked with an agency recruiter, I highly recommend that to be part of your job search strategy. Reach out to somebody and I can get you connected with some good people, and they can give you, great feedback about your resume, updates about the marketplace, and obviously updates about jobs that are open. So I highly recommend that. And it's no cost to you because these agency recruiters, the firms are paying the fees for those. Okay. So who's ready to hear about the agenda today? Give me a green check mark if you're ready to rock and roll. One person is, okay, 2 people, that's good. Okay, several people, that's good. All right, good. And as usual, we have a 2-part agenda. In the first part, we will review some important information about applicant tracking systems, because over the weeks and the months, we've done quite a bit of research, and I've talked to quite a bit of consultants and recruiting managers about these applicant tracking systems. And then also the theme for this week, I'm added a couple slides about the differences and similarities between a resume and your LinkedIn profile. So we'll talk about that a little bit. And then we'll talk about key components of a resume, and we'll have time for Q&A, and then we'll review a sample resume. And I think we've gotten a second sample, and I'm going to go ahead and download that. So thank you for the person who also submitted a sample resume. Appreciate that. And that's everyone's favorite part of this. So regarding applicant tracking systems, these are the systems when you're uploading your resume, where it goes into the system. And I'm trying to find my handy visual aid. So when you're uploading your resume, these ATS systems are reading and parsing the data. They're reading the name, the job titles, and the dates, and parsing that data and putting it into the database. So you don't want to use any special characters, meaning special underlines or boxes or fancy bullet points. You can use the default bullet points, but check marks and fancy diamonds and things like that can cause issues with applicant tracking systems. And even using a URL for your LinkedIn profile can mess up the applicant tracking system reading your data. So you just want to have that be text on your resume. And you don't want to put text in the header or footer, because it'll get missed by certain ATS systems like Workday. And each system, Workday, Taleo, iSIMS, they all work differently, and each company implements them differently. So just in general, keep it pretty clean. And however, you do want to use keywords to align to the job description. So you do want to modify your resume every time you apply for a job. Just spend a few minutes reading the job description and modifying your resume so it aligns to the language, especially the keywords and key skills that they're looking for. And you can use various online tools, including jobscan.co, and that's correct, .co. That's a tool that you can use to assess your resume against a job description. And I think it gives you 5 different chances to do that, and you can see how well you compare. And most ATS systems allow you to upload a resume as an attachment, and that's usually what the recruiter clicks on to look at. So you can either upload your clean version that you uploaded into the ATS, or if you want to maintain 2 different versions, you can upload one that has some boxes and special formatting in your attached version. And that attached version, I recommend making it into a PDF, save it as a PDF so it protects the formatting display of it. And then often ATS systems ask you to upload or give you the option of uploading a cover letter. You can do that if you choose. I just wouldn't spend a whole lot of time on it, just show how you meet the requirements. And we have a sample, very easy sample template. But I'll tell you, as a recruiter, especially as a corporate recruiter, I never had time to look at cover letters because I was so busy scanning all these resumes. Okay, great. And so basically regarding these ATS systems, since each one of them is different, you're probably hearing conflicting information about how they work because they're all different. Just keep a big picture in mind. Just when you're uploading your resume into the system, try not to have any special formatting, underlying boxes, special bullets. And then if you have the opportunity, like with Workday, review the information that's been parsed and uploaded into their database to make sure it's correct, because sometimes you may need to clean up things like your last name. For example, if you put comma PMP on your name at the top of your resume, it may read your last name as your last name comma PMP, and you may want to clean that up. So you may want to take a quick look at how the data got loaded. And then the most important thing is, once you've applied online, is to contact a person. And that will increase your chances dramatically in getting called for an interview. When I say contact a person, here are 3 different options that I recommend. 1, reach out to somebody you know at the company and see if they can forward your resume over to the recruiter or recruiting manager, because it's their job to screen all the resumes and then present those to the hiring manager. But reach out to somebody you know that would be willing to say, oh, my friend just applied for your requisition number, and add that requisition number, so it makes it easy for the recruiter, and let them know that you meet the requirements, because that's golden. And if they refer you, some companies offer a referral bonus to those people, so there can be money in the game for them. And somebody asked, for cover letters, do the hiring managers get them if they're passed the resume by the recruiter? They're more likely to read them. As a hiring manager, I never read them, but that's just me. Sometimes I would if I wanted to read their writing style. I'm not sure if I understand. See, do hiring managers get those if they're passed the resume by the recruiter? I guess it depends on the recruiter. If the recruiter shares over the cover letter, maybe, but maybe not. So you never know. So sometimes I hear people say, oh, I'm not going to modify my resume because I'm going to put all this information in the cover letter. I advise against that. Make sure your resume stands on its own, because there is a chance that your cover letter may never get read. So if you're modifying the key skills to align with that job in your summary, do it in your resume so it stands on its own to show that you meet the requirements for the job. So anyway, hopefully that answers your question. And then when I talk about contacting a person, either contact somebody you know, or maybe even a friend of somebody you know that could present you, or contact the recruiter. Sometimes you can see the name of the recruiter on LinkedIn. If they allow their name to be seen, you can call the company's main phone number and ask for that person, and they'll connect you nowadays to their cell phone. And you can leave your quick 10-second message letting them know you've applied for that job, that requisition number, and that you meet the requirements. That's golden to recruiters. And then your chances of getting called for an interview are much higher. And if you can't find the name of the recruiter, then I recommend looking on the company page on LinkedIn, click on people and search for talent acquisition or recruiting, or recruiter or talent acquisition, and see if you can find a recruiting leader and call that leader, and then they can get you to the right person. Okay, done a lot of talking here. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in chat, and I'm looking over here to monitor the chat box. Good. And I, as I mentioned, I did a seminar this week on LinkedIn, so I had LinkedIn on the brain. So I thought I would talk about the differences between a resume and your LinkedIn profile. First of all, there are some similarities, and then on my next slide, I have differences. And I was thinking of a few things, but then I found also a really good article that summarized them. And I think, Jeff, I sent that to you. So if you happen to have it, you're welcome to upload that article in the chat box. Or you can, people can Google LinkedIn and resume. Top Resume is a resume writing firm that wrote, I thought, a pretty good article. Oh, and thank you. We've shared the full article in the chat box, so you're welcome to download it and read it later. But basically, the similarities between a resume and your LinkedIn profile is they should match. Like I mentioned, the names of the companies and the dates, especially the years, need to really align. In your resume, you might leave off the months just for sake of the visual image to make it clean, but you want to make sure that they're consistent, because HR people love to double check that for attention to detail, but also to look for any anomalies. And also your resume and your LinkedIn profile provides a quick summary at the top of your resume and then in the about section in LinkedIn to capture you as a professional. And on LinkedIn, in your about section, you want to put your contact information at the very top line, your email and your phone number, so people can contact you easily. And then the bullet points under your professional experience in both documents should focus on the value delivered, not just a list of all the tasks that you did. And you want to load up your resume and your LinkedIn profile, especially in the about section, with lots of keywords that recruiters might be using to search for you. Yeah, just the other day I was looking at somebody's LinkedIn profile and they had something like it was like a buzzword. It sounded like a marketing, like a tagline or something, but it was not a term that a recruiter would ever search on. So I recommend really focus on skills and terms that recruiters would search on. And then you get more points and you get to the top of the list in LinkedIn searches, the more times you match what recruiters are looking for. Okay, and I'm watching to see if any questions are coming across. If anybody has any questions or comments about this, please feel free to write that down in the chat box. Anything about resumes versus LinkedIn. And I see that we've had a third resume submitted. We may not have time to look at that one today, so you can reach out to me offline. If you want me to take a quick look at your resume, you can reach out to me on LinkedIn. And then regarding differences between your resume and your LinkedIn profile. With your resume, we'll talk about this a little bit more, that you'll have multiple resumes. You'll modify it for every time you apply for a job, but you just have one LinkedIn profile. So you want to cover all the bases with your LinkedIn profile. In that about section, you want to use a lot of keywords and keywords that would match the job descriptions. And however, on LinkedIn, you may want to upload one version of your one-page executive bio. And we occasionally talk about that. And I think next week, I'll make a note of it next week. We will talk about one-page executive bios. You may want to upload that as a kind of a one-time document that people may want to look at. And with your resume, you want it written in the third person in more of a formal tone. Whereas on LinkedIn, it's okay to put in the about section, you can say, I am this type of person. I'm very dedicated. I've got lots of experience doing financial flow charts or whatever. You can write in first person in more of a social tone, but use those keywords as well. And your resume should be brief, but you can have more information on your LinkedIn profile, including all the endorsements you want to get and recommendations, whereas you don't want to put references available on request. You don't want to put that on your resume anymore. That's kind of old school, but you do want to add all that information on your LinkedIn. And I've learned a trick. If you don't have many endorsements for your key skills on your LinkedIn profile, go out and endorse some of your friends' key skills. And then in return, they'll probably be likely to endorse some of your skills as well. So that's a little trick to generate more endorsements. And then you can request people to write recommendations. Maybe that's a good thing to do for maybe former bosses that you know are good references. And then somebody said, not sure how many executives are in this group. Can we do a regular or mid-level one-page bio? And when I say executive one-page bio, it actually could be used by anybody. It's just information kind of presented at an executive level. And we've got a good, I've got a template. I don't know if Jeff, if you still have my executive one-page bio template, we could go ahead and upload that for the audience this week, and we'll go into a little more description about it next week. Oh, thank you so much. And so we've uploaded a sample template, and this was based on one of my clients as a career coach. It's just a very simple Word document, so it's very easy for you to modify for yourself. And it just basically has your contact information, some keywords about your skills, very high level information about your professional biography, and then some highlights of key accomplishments. And it all just fits on one page. And anybody can create one of these. And these are great documents to have when you're networking. So you don't have to be a VP or an executive to have one of those. So, okay, hopefully that answered your question on that. Now we'll talk about characteristics of good resumes. You want to make it easy for that ATS system and for recruiters and hiring managers to see very quickly that, yeah, they're a match for the job. They're looking for a business analyst job, and oh, they have the key skills that I'm looking for. You want them to be able to see within a few seconds time that you're a great match. So you want the formatting to be clean with lots of white space. Less is more. We are discovering that more and more when we think about resumes and when we're coaching people on resumes, and also when we're coaching people on interviewing skills. People used to think, oh, I need to tell them everything I've done. And no, less is more. Now, Jeff, do you want to describe what you recommend a lot to keep like a master copy of your resume? I like your description of that.
Okay, well, I believe you should have a master resume. So your master resume is everything you've ever done since you graduated high school, and include any jobs you had in high school if they're pertinent to what you want to do. And you include everything. You put all the dates, you put supervisors' names, you put addresses of the company, you list company names, you put 8, 10, 15 bullet points of what you did at each job. That way you don't have to think about what it is you've done. Then so your resume could be 10 pages, 15 pages, whatever it is. And that sort of becomes your complete LinkedIn profile. Then when you apply for a job, you save your resume as, and then you start deleting everything that's not on that job description. Because if it's not on the job description, you don't need to talk about it. Yes, you've probably done a lot of wonderful other things, but if a recruiter is only going to spend 7 to 10 seconds looking at your resume, you've got to make it very obvious that you can do what they want and you only show them those things. You may talk about the other things when you're in the interview, if it would come up, but you want to make it real easy so your resume is an exact match of the job description.
Great. So in terms of formatting, what I'm talking about is that modified version that you would be submitting for a job. But I really like Jeff's idea of creating a master document. And it's good to have all that information, because when you're applying or filling out the final paperwork for applying for a job, sometimes they ask you, for your supervisor names and the exact dates. And so it's good to have all that information available.
So if you have old resumes like I do, I have resumes back from 20 years ago, that I've over time just kept one copy of. Make yourself a master resume with everything you've done and get it in one document that you can that way you don't have to think about it in the future. Wait, have I done that before? Just, make it easy for applying for a job.
Great. And so the overall length, and once again, for the resume that you're using when you're applying for a job, the sweet spot's about 2 pages for professional people. And sometimes it can be longer for government jobs or higher education, but 2 pages is really the sweet spot. And then in terms of number of years, I get that question a lot for those of us that have a lot of experience, and we wonder how many years of experience should we show on our resumes. And we do have a polling question here that we can launch, I think, because I'm curious to get your feedback regarding what do you think works best for you? And this is a personal choice. We share lots of suggestions, and you have to do what works best for you. And so the options regarding how much information to show on your resume in terms of years of experience, one option is to show all the years of experience. And that's what I did with my resume when I retired from HP in 2012, and also when I applied for a job at the age of 59 and a half, or 59 and 11 months, actually. I applied for a job, but I just showed everything because the people knew me and they knew I'd worked at EDS a long time. So I showed everything, but that may not work for everyone. And then as a recruiter, I saw a lot of resumes where people had a lot of experience and they might've been a VP, but it only showed 10 years of work history, and it looked like something was missing. And often during the interview, they would refer to companies that weren't on the resume, and that would just cause lots of confusion. So the third alternative, which I think works really smoothly and what hiring managers actually like to see, is to show details about your most recent jobs. Maybe it's 10, 15, or maybe even 20 years, and then put prior relevant experience. And you can just list the company names and titles. You don't even have to put the dates, but prior relevant experience, list the company names and titles. And that way the full picture of your experience shows, and it doesn't look like you're hiding something. And that gives hiring managers a little more feeling of comfort that they see the whole picture. So, and I see a majority of people are kind of going with that option. Okay. But you can choose what works best for you. And then a question I get a lot is how to fill a gap, either between jobs or especially now when people may have gotten laid off, last year in 2019, and then COVID hit. They may have a long gap since they've had a job. And so I often talk to people about, okay, what are you doing during this time? Are you doing any leadership in the community, not just attending networking meetings or something, but doing anything from a leadership perspective, leading projects or doing any consulting, or have you attained any certifications or doing any continuing education? And you could add some bullets about that on your resume. So for example, and this is what I would do on my resume if I wanted to fill in the gap, even though I've been working as a career coach. If I wanted to fill in the gap since like 2019, these are a couple things I could do. I could make the heading, instead of a company name, I could just put community leadership and consulting. And a couple of bullets I could put are, I serve as a panelist and a coach for the Dallas practice interview team to help job seekers with their interview skills. And then also I provide consulting services to a local nonprofit organization on how to conduct job interviews. And these are both things that I've done in taking leadership in the community. Now this nonprofit happens to be a church and it was pro bono work, but I was providing consulting services. So those are some creative ideas about how you can show the work that you're doing either between jobs, or if you have a gap from when you've had your most recent position. Those are just some creative ideas. And now we'll just talk quickly about key components of a resume. And I use a template that I developed based on feedback that I was getting from hiring managers when I worked as a recruiter. And then this is also very similar to the format they used when I was certified by the Professional Association of Resume Writers. And then we're sharing this sample. It just happens to fit on one page just for ease, but this is a sample template. And it's also similar to one of the templates they show with the career transition workshop modules. And so basically these are most of the key components of a typical resume, and we'll walk through these. So you have your heading with your name and 4 types of contact information, and more recruiters are looking for that LinkedIn profile. And so you want to put that, or the LinkedIn URL. So you want to put that there, and you do not want to put your physical street address. It's kind of old school, and also there've been some employment law issues regarding street addresses. So we just recommend avoiding those. And the most important part of your resume, because this might be the only part that the recruiter reads, because I'm pulling it up on the screen as if a recruiter's looking at it. And as Jeff mentioned, they only spend a few seconds. It averages 7.4 seconds. You want to have a very clear summary statement about yourself. And we recommend 3 lines of text, and using language in the job descriptions that you're applying for, keywords and language. And if you're a business analyst and you're applying for a business analyst job, put that right there front and center above your summary. And then also include areas of expertise. And this is a great place to put in those keywords and key skills that align to what they're looking for on the job. And the ones across the top and the ones in that first column really need to align closely to the job you're applying to. And somebody said, did you say to include dates on previous related experience portion? Okay, thank you for asking that. If you have prior relevant experience, kind of towards the bottom of your resume, definitely list the company names and titles. The dates are optional on your resume. Now on LinkedIn or your application, you may have to plug in the dates, but on your resume, you could just leave them off. Yeah, you don't have to. And then is the area of expertise a 3-column tab? The tabbing works. You don't want to make it a table with those bars and borders and stuff. Those would be special characters. But the tab marks that are on your keyboard, those work fine with the ATS systems. If anybody's ever had a problem with that, let me know, definitely, because each system works differently. But thank you for asking that question. Yeah, I just tabbed over. And then an optional section that you can include after your areas of expertise, you could list key accomplishments, especially for jobs that do a lot of tracking of data, like sales, business development, recruiting, and even some financial kind of leadership positions. To have a summary of a few of the biggest accomplishments you've had that are quantitative at the top of your resume can be very, very useful, especially for sales and business development positions. And then professional experience is very important. And you just want to make this very clean, easy to read, have your dates for the companies right justified. I usually put them on the same line as the company name, make them bold, and have all your dates for past jobs be in the past tense. And please make those consistent. You wouldn't believe how many resumes I've seen where the date or the verbs are not consistent, past, present, and whatever. Now, if you're currently working in a job, some of the verbs could be present tense. It could be things that you're currently doing, or a couple of them may be past tense if it's a project you've completed. But for all past jobs, all of these verbs should be very strong, accomplishment-oriented verbs, and in the past tense. And you should limit the number of bullets per job to approximately 5 to 8. You don't want more than that because no hiring manager would read it. Okay, how about making bullets in tar or SAR? I don't know what that means. So thank you for the question. Can you give me
SAR would be situation, action, result, and no, you don't want to do that. You've got to make it very, very, very short. So
headlines? Yeah,
yes.
Like your accomplishment. Okay, so that's like a STAR story, situation, action, result. That's a story, and you save that for your interviews. In the resume, you just want the headline, like this third bullet: reduce data migration time by 90, whatever, by developing this program. Yes. So thank you for asking that. Yeah, you don't want stories. In fact, I've as a career coach, when I've looked at people that have way too much text on their resume, and I read it, I go, that's a story. That's a great story. Save that for your interview. Put the headline in your resume. Okay. And we often say for the bullet points, they need to focus on results. And one way to get there is to ask the question, so what? So as you're reading through your resume, look at the bullet points and ask, so what? What was the result? And here's an example. And this was an actual bullet point on a resume where the person was a business analyst and he developed a Visual Basic program to automate the conversion and migration of data. And then I asked, so what? Was there a result? Was there an outcome? And it turned out there were several results and outcomes. Reduced data migration time, eliminated errors, and increased the stakeholder confidence. So the person rewrote that bullet to start with a stronger, more results-oriented verb: reduced data migration time by 90%, eliminate errors, and increase stakeholder confidence by developing that Visual Basic program. So that's a way you can make your bullet points stronger by playing that, what I call the so what game. And then often on resumes, I see people that have had multiple jobs within one company, but they have their dates right justified for each one of those jobs. So at first glance, and remember, recruiters are only spending a couple seconds looking at your resume, it looks like you're a job hopper. So what the recommended approach, if you've had multiple jobs within a company, put right justified at the full time you're with that company, but then put the dates that you had those jobs in parentheses right up against those job titles. And that way it shows you had progression, you may have been promoted, and it shows longevity within that company. So that tells a really nice story that way. And then what if you've worked for a company that's changed names or merged with another company? And that happened to me when I retired from Hewlett Packard Enterprise Services that had acquired EDS. So you could put the name of the current name followed by the old name, or the old name with the new company. So in my situation, what I could have done is said HP Enterprise Services, formerly EDS. And actually that's what I had on my resume. Or I could have said EDS acquired by Hewlett Packard. I could have done that, and they were acquired in 2008. So you can do it either way, whatever makes the most sense or whichever name is most recognizable. And then you want to be sure to include your education because a lot of recruiters really look for that. If a bachelor's is required, they look for that on the resume. And software skills. If they ask for Microsoft Excel, put it on your resume. And if there's anything else specific, and you have those skills, be sure to include those. And then this is one of my favorite graphics here, because it's important to show, to spend time and really look at the job description. So on the left here, I have a job description for a business analyst job. And when you're applying for a job, please, please, please take a couple of minutes to read the job description and look for the key words that they're looking for, and make sure that you're highlighting those in your resume, or adding those in your resume. We're highlighting this for the sake of just appearances right now for the PowerPoint. But make sure you're reading the job description and look for those key skills that they're looking for, like documenting business requirements, improving processes, and make sure that you're using that language in your resume. And also look at the bottom of the job description, usually where they ask for the qualifications, requirements, or what you bring to the job, and look for the language there. Like in this one, they're looking people with agile experience. And so you want to be sure to include that if you've got that experience. And they're looking for somebody with Visual Studio, be sure to include that. And they actually said Microsoft Office. This is an actual job description. And so include that in your resume. So be sure to do that. It's worth the time. And that way your resume will align, and you'll get more points by the ATS. And then also the recruiter will more easily be able to see that you're a great match for the job. And I've had some people, when I've coached people, spend a few minutes, we'll walk through a job description together. It'll say business analyst, but once we start looking at the skills required, I've had clients say, oh, maybe I shouldn't even apply for that. They're looking for a data scientist or something entirely different. So it's worth the time, because it can save you time on the back end, and also increase your chances of getting called for an interview. Good. So now we've gone through all the material, and we've got a couple of resumes, and we even have a third one. I'm going to go ahead and download the third one. I don't know if we'll get to it, but I'm going to stop sharing my PowerPoint. And now I'm going to bring up the sample resume. And I have to click on New Share, and Share, and Share. I have to click a couple of things. I'm going to attempt to click on the chat box. Good, everything worked. And so what I'm doing is displaying a resume, and I'm going to scroll through it like we're looking at it, like a recruiter would look at it. And I'd like for everyone to go into chat and type in a few keywords about things you like about the resume, and if you have any suggestions for improvement. So we'll scroll down. There's some contact name at the top, contact information. It's kind of nice the way that's formatted. And the title, and that they're applying to, areas of expertise. Easy to read. Yeah, I like this format. It looks kind of familiar. That's great. Okay, easy to read. Take out seasoned. Yes. Yeah, use accomplished or experienced, or, and then top tier. I'm not sure about that. I don't even know what that means. I mean, I know what it means, I think. So I'm not sure what that means. Use words that the job descriptions are looking for, or use words like accomplished or experienced, or yeah. Okay, so I'm going to keep scrolling. So they worked for this company but had multiple roles. Excellent job with the dates. Okay, good, good. And you may want to just add the dates here for Sabre, American Airlines. Okay, good. Education, beautiful. Don't see any software skills. That may not be as big of a requirement, maybe, for product manager jobs. Okay, horizontal lines. Horizontal lines. Yeah, lines can especially cause issues if there's text right above it, because it can cut off the text and mess up the formatting. And sometimes a special character, the underline, it includes a special character that can throw off the parsing process with an ATS. Okay.
Yeah, I think I would pick just 9 of the 12 items he has on there, and don't put the dash in front of it. I don't think it's necessary. And,
Correct.
you know,
Or,
I mean, but maybe in your master resume, you may have 30 of them, and then you just
Yeah.
pick the 9 that are the most important, the 9 that match.
Yeah. Now, I was coaching somebody the other day for a highly technical job, and we decided, yep, we're going to go ahead and have a 12. So in some cases, maybe, but it's rare. Usually you can cover the 9 top key skills, 9 will usually cover it. No comma needed after the word designed. So wherever that is, just make a note of that.
Third bullet point down under JRHG.
Okay. Oh, yes. Yeah.
If you're not using Grammarly, I recommend you load Grammarly and let it run in the background, because it will pick up these kinds of things. And you don't have to agree with everything it suggests, but I find it's very, very helpful.
Yeah, I would definitely reword that, because the ampersand, you don't want to use that. You just want to spell out and when you're writing text. Yeah, so you'd say designed. You'd probably want to say designed, comma, rapidly developed, comma, and launched would be the proper editing, I think, for that.
And so you don't really need months on your professional experience. Just put years down, 2019 to 2020.
Yes, yes. And then not go back farther. Well, and that's a personal choice about if you want to go back farther than 15 years or have that previous relevant year experience. I went back all the way to 1980 with mine. So if people know you and you're networking with people that know your whole experience and you want to show the length of time you were at American, I mean, that's a personal choice. Or you could cut it off right before these 2001 jobs and put previous relevant experience and a list of company names and the titles. So that's a personal choice. It'd be good to see some numbers in the summary, like quantitative numbers, if there's anything quantitative in your roles, regarding product management. And then somebody said, ask the question, do the bullets pass the so what test? Oh, I like that. So let me try to find a short. Now, these bullets are rather long. The
very first one is great. Deliver 8 financial products. So what? So you did that. What did it do?
Yeah.
What was the result? So you told me what you did. So that's a job description, but you didn't tell me the result.
Yeah. What did that result in?
Right.
Like proving something.
Yeah. New e-commerce website on the second one, but so what?
Yes. Yes. So, yeah. And these bullets are rather long. If you can make them more like headlines that are, and have a couple that are just one-liners, that would be good. Quantifying, yeah. So if you can quantify any of these things. Executed on product strategy, evolution, new website. Okay, so what did that result in? I'm sure you could answer that question. Okay, find drug execution product roadmap. So what did that result in? Yes. So, and you may not need all of these things, just a few of the big accomplishments. So overall, the formatting looks clean. I do agree with our audience had really great suggestions. Anything else you'd want to say, Jeff, on this one?
Well, and if he wants to save a line and, he doesn't have skills at the very bottom, whatever, because he's probably going to want to mention whatever computer skills he's got. If they're in the job description, because you want to match the job description as best you can, because that's how the ATS system is going to find you. You could save a little information at the very top by, first name, last name, Gmail. You can move Dallas, Texas down the line, or, you could save an extra line there. If you want to use 9 bullet points, it'll save you another line.
Yeah, and then these extra lines, these formatting lines, I would say.
Right.
Yeah, here it says e-commerce and software. So I don't even know what that means. So I would just have a software section down below and specifically put the names of software, e-commerce software packages that are critical to these roles. And that shows how technically savvy you are. Yeah. Okay.
You're not writing a job description. You're writing something that you want somebody to go, I got to talk to this person. I sort of say a resume is like a fishing hook, you're going fishing. You're trying to get somebody to call you. So this is what you just put on your hook to try to grab somebody to call you. And if they're not calling you, it's because they're not seeing results. They're not seeing something that just stands out. So Yeah, if you're not getting results, you need to change something up, and adding more results would be a big help.
Right, right. Excellent. Okay, great comments there. So good start on that resume. And then just a few other helpful tips there. And now let's see, I'm going to pull up another one. And then I have to click on new share. It's processing. Okay, then new share. I'm going to bring up good old John Doe's resume here. Hopefully. Okay, and I'm going to try to open up the chat box. Good, let me do that. Good. Okay, I'll go ahead and enable editing. So we have John, okay, that. Every once in a while I just get thrown out of Zoom. Okay, share. I do it very carefully so I don't get thrown out. Okay, very careful Zoom. There we go. And it's when I click on the chat box, sometimes it gets overloaded. Good, and somebody's already made a comment. So looking at the resume, thank you for comments. Somebody's asking about a LinkedIn address. Yes, so we've got and we don't have a city. So maybe you're open to everywhere, but it's good to put, cities. Okay, good. All right, so I'm gonna scroll down here. We've got the information IT project manager. We've got education at the top. Okay, interesting. Experience. Typically for professional people, typically education's more at the bottom. Now here we've got education and certifications. I would tend to put those at the bottom. Now a recent college grad, sometimes you put the education at the top because the experience section is working at, different bars or whatever, restaurants. Okay, remove company description. That's a personal preference, especially if you have company names that aren't very well known. It might be good to have that, and to have just be one line. I would try to avoid having it go around 2 lines. Yeah, like ISG, I didn't know what that was. It looks like these margins are kind of, so it's a font size is Arial 13. You might want to try Calibri 11. And the margins look like you could spread them out to have a little bit thinner margins, because it seems like you don't have much room for your text.
It's probably because he's using size 13, I think.
Yeah,
if you would go down to 12, or yeah, that would be better.
Yeah, that would be better. And I'm not big on having one major bullet and sub-bullets unless it's really critical. Okay.
Once again, drop the months. You don't need to have those.
Yeah, especially with the slashes.
But you need to move the dates up to the company, not to the title, to the job title.
Yes, yes. And that way it gives you flexibility in case you have multiple titles under the name of the company. Yes. And so I would have the company name, the city, and the dates all in bold, all in that same line. So you consistently have your bolding on the same line. Okay. Project manager. Yeah, like here's a situation where you worked for RMG Networks. It looks like from 2008 to 2014, but I had to figure that out on my own. You want to make that easier for the recruiter to see that you were there from 2008 to 2014. You were a project manager for these years, in parentheses, and you were a whatever that is for a certain year. Wait, oh, that's a different company. Okay. Okay, you had 2 jobs here for M&W. Okay. All right, I see. Okay. Yeah, so the dates all need to be readjusted. Okay. And this might be a situation where you put prior relevant experience because you're going on to a 3rd page. Okay. All right. Let me see. We had some good comments come in. Yeah, secondary bullets. I'm not big on that unless it really, really makes sense.
Well, play the so what game. I mean, so what? Windows 10 refresh for selected UK sites. So what?
And these are, and see these verbs, this is a real good example of what I'm talking about. We have managing, relocate, acted. So 3 different versions of verbs for a job that's in the past tense. So you want to make sure those are consistent. I've seen hiring managers throw out resumes with verbs that are inconsistent like that, and you don't want to miss out on an opportunity because of that. Yeah, I don't think I would do these sub bullets, and each bullet should be a headline that starts with a very strong verb. Yeah, so, okay. 13 is only for name in title. The rest is, oh, I see. Rest is 11. Okay. Oh, it is Arial 11. It just looks big to me for some reason. Okay. Thank you for that clarification. You might want to try Calibri and play with the margin just a little bit. And then somebody suggested 1.5 capital M. I don't know where that was, but I do like that format, 1.5. Oh, instead of spelling out 1,500, yes. Yeah, 1.5 M with the space or without, yes. Okay. And then a 2-line company description like that is not needed, also not for smaller companies. Okay. Too many capitalizations. Okay. Good, good. Okay. Yeah, so I'm not quite sure about how these bullets are, where there's like one that says led transition of users, and migration, then laptop. Okay, these are like things that were part of that. I would just think through some of the major accomplishments and probably rewrite that. So Mr. John Doe, if you want to reach out to me to work through some of these, you're welcome to reach out to me on LinkedIn and just refer to this session. Okay.
Change your display name on the email to John Doe.
yeah. Say, I'm the John Doe. I've had people do that. I'm the person that was John Doe on your session. And here's input from somebody, because each recruiter is different. And one person saying that many recruiters like showing those full numbers, $, 500. I've never heard a recruiter say that, but maybe some have. So I don't know. You just never know. And that's why you'll get conflicting and you'll get different perspectives. And oops, I've run out of time. So I know, so for our third person, if you want to reach out to me on LinkedIn, feel free to do that. And there's what I look like.
Right. So if you want to reach out to Carol, you're welcome to do so. Please be sure to send her a personal note if you're going to connect with her, letting her know that you saw her at this workshop. That way she'll be able to refer back and make things work a little bit easier. For those people who are on Facebook watching, if you'd like to get the sample cover letter, the T cover letter, the bio that we put in, anything else, please just send me an email to webmaster@careerfw.org, and I will get those to you over the weekend. So please do that. That would be appreciated. Tomorrow, Friday, the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group, our speaker is going to talk about networking over the holidays, even with COVID. So we've got Halloween starting up in a week, and then Thanksgiving and Christmas. And do you go see people? Do you not? With everything that's going on. So she's going to talk about that tomorrow. So please join us tomorrow morning at 9:30. Next Tuesday, our speaker is Terry Sullivan on LinkedIn Tuesdays. Every Tuesday at 1 o'clock, we have a LinkedIn seminar. Next Wednesday will be session 13 of 13, the final session on avoiding interview crashes, things that you want to avoid during the interview session. So join us next Wednesday for that. All these sessions have been recorded, will be recorded. They are currently live and will be recorded on the CareerFW Facebook page, and they will be uploaded this afternoon to the Career USA YouTube channel. I hope that you all please follow us on Facebook, subscribe to us on the YouTube channel. That way you'll find out every time we upload a new program. And this is what it looks like on YouTube, where the green arrow is. I suggest you click on playlist because there's so many things up there right now. There's like 120, 130 different videos that are up there currently. Pick the playlist that you like. And then at the very bottom, you want to click view full playlist. And that way you'll see all the different presentations that have been put up in chronological order, and you can pick the one that you're interested in viewing. So just as a reminder, CareerFW is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. Carol's a volunteer, I'm a volunteer. Neither of us get paid to do what we're doing. We're just here to help you land your next great opportunity. We survive on donations. So we ask that when you do get your next opportunity, that you remember maybe that you learned something from one of our workshops and you'll consider making a donation so we can continue to do what we do. If your company happens to make matching donations, a lot of companies do that now, please look us up. Allow your donation to double in value. If you don't see our name, Career DFW, on the list, please reach out to me. I will get our name added as I did last year for a couple different charities. So thank you very much, Carol. Thank you again. Thanks everybody for joining us, and hopefully we'll see you either tomorrow morning or one day next week.
Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you.